Now, unless you've been living under a rock, I'm almost positive you've heard the name Jillian Michaels before. Now that this lady has been doing fitness-related content since more than likely before I was even born.
Focused so that I can kick your butt.
And with all those years of experience, you would almost hope that you would get your facts correct. Now, the video that I am referring to is one of her most recent ones that she has done.
And I need 42 grams just to function, to be healthy.
On how much protein do you actually need? And this is a topic that has been thrown around so many times and has caused so much debate over the years that everyone seems to just be pulling numbers out of their. So if you're really curious on how much protein should you be having per day, what is the actual amount you should be having, well then let's go into this topic. Let's really look at what the research says. Also, we'll look at what my personal recommendations are based on which category you fall into. And then we're also going to be looking at some of the claims made in this video and see, are they correct? Is there any real scientific research backing up those claims?
When we eat too much protein, it can actually cause bone loss, kidney stones, liver. It's linked to colorectal cancer, breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, heart disease. It ages us. It's been shown to do all kinds of stuff to our longevity genes. Bottom line is, too much protein, bad.
So now let's really look at how much protein do you need? Well, one of the things that she brings up, one of the figures, is this idea of 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. I don't know who is going to be having that little amount of protein. And she tries to give this reference range of about 10% up to 30%. The dietary reference intake in terms of that 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight is only to prevent deficiency. It's not factoring other things such as age, activity level, your goal, etc. Now, I know that she knows people need more protein. I'm almost positive that she eats more protein. She doesn't look the way that she does because she is eating a low protein diet. And I almost guarantee you that she did not mean to say that if your goal is to get in shape, that you should be eating protein in such low amounts. What I do think that she's trying to aim for is to give a general recommendation, and which is why she gives such a broad range. You know, if I type in how much protein do I need, it says I need 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That is the first thing that pops up, but that is not providing context. One of the things that I think most people will find pretty interesting is that a lot of the research done on this topic shows that on average, the sweet spot seems to be about 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. Now, there's no real need to eat beyond 1.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight. There really is no extra benefit if you were to consume more than that, but I would say that is a safe spot for most people to be at. Now, then again, if you look at these original recommendations, you have to remember that this is just a bare minimum recommendation when you don't factor in other things like sex, activity level, how muscular a person is, because your lean mass is going to play a big role in this, whether or not you are resistance training or not, and also factoring in what your goal is. So maybe, if Jillian Michaels' audience is just your typical couch potato and the most activity you get in any given day is going from the kitchen back to the couch, then maybe 10% of your calories coming from protein is enough to just keep you functioning as a human being. But if your goal is to actually see some type of weight loss and to start seeing improvements in body composition, then in no way is that helping you out. So now let's go ahead and let's look at some of these other things. Okay, what about some of the claims that were made, such as high protein diets can be very harmful to the kidneys? Well, there's no research that shows that. And here's the thing, as long as you already have healthy kidneys and there's no history of kidney failure in your family, consuming a high protein diet is not going to affect you. And then we also have to ask this question, well, what is a high protein diet? Because if we look at these studies and we look at things where people are put on 3 grams of protein per kilogram, we don't find any significant research or any significant changes in biomarkers that would indicate that kidney health is affected. Also, when it comes to the cancer issue, I believe there was a meta-analysis that was done very recently that just showed that when you factor in both low protein intakes and high protein intakes, there's no difference in terms of whether or not one leads to cancer. And then also when it comes to the bone mass or bone loss, there's actually studies that show that having higher protein intake can actually help to increase bone mass. And it's actually one of the number one reasons why we recommend a higher protein diet to elderly people, because elderly people are more prone to things like osteoporosis. So if we know that elderly people are more likely to get hip fractures or to damage their bone, well, then why do we recommend a higher protein intake? And the reason why is because if you look at the elderly and the problems that surround them, we look at two things that seem to be the most common, and that is sarcopenia and dynopenia, which is pretty much just the rapid loss of muscle mass and strength in individuals. One of the things that's actually been shown recently by research is that elderly people experience something known as anabolic resistance, which is pretty much their body's ability to have protein synthesis starts to decrease. So as we age, our ability to uptake amino acids into the muscle bellies and our ability to have protein synthesis starts to go down. Now, one of the ways that we can prevent that is by just assuring we are getting an adequate amount of protein intake in every single meal and making sure that the protein that we are taking in is high in leucine. So primarily animal protein will be the thing that helps us to accomplish that. And so there really is no research, and the claims that she made on this high protein intake myth, look, this has been a myth that has been around since the beginning of fitness, the beginning of nutritional science. And it's just something that I don't know why it still exists today. There's just so much research that has been done by really great people in this field. So now at the end of the day, the thing I think that you can take away from this is that protein is very much so goal dependent, and it's also going to be dependent upon a person's lifestyle factors as well. So once again, if let's say you're just Gen Pop, right? You're just an average person, you're not a bodybuilder, and your goal is just to lose weight. Well, prioritizing more protein is going to be the best thing that you could possibly do for a number of reasons. So another thing that research has shown is just that a high protein diet can lead to you feeling more satiated. And now the research is not necessarily 100% on this area. Research has also shown stuff like a decreased gastric emptying. So it just takes your body longer to break protein down in general. And so you feel more satiated. And then there's also other things, such as your body may have something known as a protein-seeking hormone, where, let's say, for example, your body does have a base requirement for how much protein it needs on any given day based on activity level and other factors. And so your body, as it starts to consume food, if it's not feeling that it's reaching that protein amount, then you might just keep eating food until your body does consume it, which might be one of the reasons why people who do have low protein diets can end up eating so many carbs and still feel hungry, even though they haven't consumed much protein. Because for you to hit your bare minimum of protein by eating something such as bread, the amount that you would need to eat just to hit your bare minimum protein intake would be so great that you would have to consume thousands of calories just before you potentially felt satiated. So this is another reason why prioritizing protein in each and every meal is probably one of the best and most important things that you guys can do to improve overall body composition. And look, just to give you guys some anecdotal evidence on the whole topic, I have tried both high protein diets and low protein diets with many clients. And I can tell you with 100% certainty that the people who followed the high protein diet always get the best results. Always. I don't know what it is, but when I take on clients who, let's say they are vegetarian or they are vegan and they do have lower protein intakes than the other groups of people, we do find that they just don't have the same favorable body composition changes. Now, you have to remember, I'm not necessarily talking about weight loss. Weight loss is solely going to be looking at energy balance. And so what I'm really referring to is the way that a person looks, losing fat, building muscle, going through something known as body recomposition. We do seem to see the most favorable changes in someone who is following a higher protein diet. And once again, just to clarify, having protein as high as 2.7 grams per kilogram of body weight is not necessarily better than the lower end. And this is really evidence that has been shown by people like Eric Helms, etc., on resistance trained athletes. Now, the reason why we are going to use resistance trained athletes is because these people are usually the ones with the most favorable body composition for most people. And I think that they also represent what a person should be aiming for when it comes to your nutrition. So the question should be, well, if you are just a sedentary individual and you are not resistance training, where should your protein requirements fall? I still believe if they fall in that range, okay, usually probably just on the lower range, maybe 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilogram, that is going to help you and serve you in the best way possible. So look, guys, I know this one was a very long one, but hopefully you got some little bits of nuggets of wisdom in that one. And so let me know what you guys think. What is your protein intake? Have you tried a higher protein intake? Is this even considered a high protein intake? I remember when I first started bodybuilding, I was told to have 2 to 3 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I don't know if you guys have ever tried that before, but I highly do not recommend it. So if you guys make sure that you follow the recommendations given in this one, let me know, and let me know if you guys see any type of change in body composition. And so if you guys like this video, just make sure that you go ahead and leave a like, and also make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel for more daily content like this. And as always, guys, stay strong, and I will see you next time.